All right, I got 6 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Run the dishwasher, I guess. Oh.
Thanks, everyone. So we got a couple of minutes, meeting minutes to approve, February 6th. There was, Roger, there was just a couple errors. Larry Brabant's name was spelled wrong. It's B-R-A-B-A-N-T, correct?
Yeah, B-R-A-B-A-N.
And then on item number 4, Roger, the New Hope Church abatement, that was 3 of us voting. That was not a motion and a seconded. That was the 3 of us voted individually on that, so. Okay.
So I'll move to accept with the corrections.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we've got 2 non-public meetings, February 12th at the highway, actually it was at the town office. That's the only change that has to be made. And then on the 15th, at the highway garage, at the town office and the highway garage on the morning of the 15th. And that had to do with Bob's resignation, so.
I'll move to approve both, with the correction.
With a change,
I would second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Who is going to speak on the meeting house preservation? John?
I guess I'll do it.
Thank you.
We are ready to go out for bids. We think we have enough money in the trustee account to cover what we anticipate them to bid on. And we've been given a draft RFP. So it is, are you comfortable with us sending that out?
When are you trying to send it out by, John?
Well, go out next week, if you say okay.
So I think you've done a tremendous job fundraising. Can you let everyone know how much you were able to raise?
We're north of 55,000 and headed for 60. The things continue to trickle in, and Pilgrim Bank gave us a nice $5,000.
Yeah.
And all the pews to the meeting house have been sold.
Oh, wow.
So we don't have the checks for all of them, but they committed to it. And the online fundraising raised about $1,200, and that check hasn't come in yet.
Was that a GoFundMe, John, or?
The GoFundMe, yes.
So congratulations, that's.
Yeah, great job.
That's phenomenal.
To all of you, yeah.
Absolutely.
And we've got a bidders list. I didn't give you a copy, but you can look at it if you like. There's 10 people on the list. We're not sure we want to exercise them all. Dan probably doesn't get appreciated multiple exercises. So, there are 3 local people and 7 not too far away. One of them's in Maine, but he claims he does all of New Hampshire and all of New England. And he's highly recommended. A lot may depend on the price and the availability of these people. And, so I don't know what your thoughts are about sending it to everybody or cutting the list down.
I don't see an issue with sending it to everybody, so. You know, may not get a response from all of them, so
Yeah.
I'd rather send it to them and see if they're interested, let them make that decision, so.
Okay. And then there's one other item that's come up, which is Rebel is getting a request for the meeting house to reserve the meeting house. And the instructions currently say a non-profit group is exempt, but there's a lot of confusion as to what a nonprofit group is, so. There's a legal definition that Columbia law uses. It says a nonprofit organization is a group organized for the purposes of, other than generating profit, and in which no part of the organization's income is distributed to its members, directors, or officers. So we would suggest you add that definition to the policy. And there are some cases where you have individuals that get together, like Tom may invent some new cause that perhaps there are too many crows up on the telephone wire, and we put a committee together and discuss it. They're not really an organization, they don't have that IRS number.
John, what's the current non-resident rate, you know?
It's
It's not
like
much.
$25. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Resident is 25, right?
Yeah.
I think
I'd have to look it up.
so I'm gonna move just to, I'd like to look at that, the fees charged and what the deposit policy is, because we run into a problem with the deposit before.
I would as
Do we
well.
think that the committee themselves should present us what they want for changes?
Well,
It's a selectmen's policy, the committee hasn't done it in the past.
I don't know if that's the case, or if
Okay.
it's like a Mike
We can
Simpson,
go,
I don't
we
know.
can
if it
look
was-
at it. But the
Yeah.
deposit is $200.
So I was on the committee at the time that they created this, and I don't remember that we or the select board worked on it. I mean, are there other changes that you would like to see?
Well, Susan had suggested we put in a donation box on there, allowing the opportunity to pay the fee and then
Nonprofits to make a donation, we would greatly appreciate it.
Would you be comfortable revising it and bringing it to us to look at?
sure.
Yeah.
Tom, did-
Yeah, and John, I honestly don't know whether the committee has looked at this or the select board has looked at this, but. Going back now to the fall of 2022. I had raised with the board. Some concerns about the policy and a lack of clarity as to. When you're, for example, when you're renting a meeting house, whether you're a resident or non-resident. When you're renting it, are you renting just the building or are you renting the
Whole
land
property.
around it, et cetera? And I just think that, you know, there are a couple of areas like that I just think need to be,
Right,
should be looked at.
It does say, on the website that you're renting, when you signed up to use the facility, you're renting both the property and the building. It does say that, I saw it today.
Okay, so that may be a change, because that was not clear in the fall of 22.
well, I don't know if it got double booked that time or not, Tom, that's going back in memory, so. I mean, I don't know if it was policy or not, but I know it got double booked, so.
Yeah, well, but I think there was I think there. It got double booked, but there was also a lack of clarity about whether,
Okay.
you know, because when we found out that the building had been double booked. We thought the grounds were available.
So we can go away and take a look at the whole document.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, it probably hasn't been looked at for quite a while, so.
Also,
2011.
the booking calendar is in multiple places, so.
Yeah, that's on our list to do once Rebel gets established, so, because it's the ball fields, we're trying to put it all together in one place, so. Because,
How about this room?
so this is Ryan, well, Ryan is the booking agent for this room, so. Because it is the EOC, that's its primary function, so we use it, but, so Ryan is the gatekeeper here, so to speak, so.
Just one last point, and this may be out of date, I don't know, I'm looking at your meeting house rental bringing down. And it says fee schedule, point number 2, the rental is only for the first floor and includes kitchen and bathroom, upstairs and closets are not part of this agreement. And should not be used without specific written permission. There's nothing that I see that says anything but the rents.
Okay.
And you know, I mean.
I agree,
I'm
I think
not
it should be
arguing
all or
it should be
nothing,
One
so.
way or the other, I'm just saying
Yeah.
it should be. Covered.
Yep, no, I agree, but let's see what you guys can, Corinne,
Do we have an estimated time, for the start of construction with the meeting house yet?
No.
Okay.
We have, the Historical Society went out with one quote, which is a long shot. They wanted it to come from a 501c3, and it had to be done within the current year. So we did that. We're gonna know this week whether we want it, and what that is it's to replace floorboards in the first floor. It's not a lot of hours to do that, and we'd have to block off a few weeks in the summer or the fall to do that floorboard replacement. If we get the bid, we probably won't get it.
Is the bell tower gonna impact
The bell
usage
tower,
as well?
the bell tower will be probably in the fall. You're probably into September,
Yeah.
October,
Okay.
November where
All right.
usage, and a lot of the bell tower work is done exterior. And people could still use the interior.
Right, I was just thinking if there's staging or anything else they gotta set up, then that could be.
Yeah, it's all, they're typically do it with cranes and
Okay.
lifts rather than staging.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, is, the guy John, or they call him the general, who's doing the church down in Grafton, is he one of the ones that's on that list of, people that were asked about the,
There's a,
because I know he's done a number of, restoration projects of older homes around the area.
we know of a Jeff Richards that's working on the meeting house.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, he's on the list.
Okay.
Mr. Sousa?
On the. I just was reading the proposal, I just have a question, why would you replace, pressure treated with spruce?
What's the pressure treated that's up there was just put up within the last year. And it's just put up there, the grate that's there, so it can't fall down.
Oh, okay.
And so was there previously was just, we think it's hemlock. And it's painted hemlock. And it's rotted. And we think the reason it rotted was because the transition from 8x8 was done, 8x8 to 4-sided was done above the roof deck. And the exposed end grain, and that's where the rot started. Originally, it was 4x4 was done below the deck. So
There are a couple of species that are resilient to water, spruce is one of them.
okay,
So, and if you talk about a roof problem, sealing the roof, I wouldn't use spruce.
what would you recommend?
Well, I like the first thing I had, I like cedar is a good one that holds up. I don't know if hemlock is or not, it might be.
Yeah, hemlock,
Nothing is forever, but
hemlock has been thought to be a good water resistant wood.
yeah, but she specifically mentions the roof, I don't know that I would do that. I was just looking at it, it's that's all. Just 2 cents, my 2 cents.
And your 2 cents are coming from where? You are?
I'm Bob Souza, I live on Pheasant Lane, and the last 5 years I spent doing construction with a company out of Norwich.
Scott?
Just with regards to what was said about being able to still use inside of the hall while they're doing construction with that tower. I don't think that'll work because of insurance regulations. With the overhead work, we have to be so many feet away from that work area in order to with anybody around it, so you would have to have a protected entranceway to get into it.
So the side entrance is protected and the back entrance is protected.
Yeah, I mean, just as far as that front entrance, it
So-
will have to be barricaded because of the insurance regulations for doing that type of work.
But like John said, it probably won't happen till the fall, and usually the rentals in the fall are pretty low to non-existent, so. But good point, thank you.
Yeah, we did put one contractor suggest that we use laminated mahogany. Yeah. Mahogany is very resistant.
I would just say this. As a contractor, if I was looking at that RFP, I would not want to be guessing that while we're talking, because the difference between spruce and laminated mahogany is the difference in whether I actually get paid to do the job or not, right? So you need to nail it down, John.
Let's go with it, babe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, some peak. But you know what I mean, though, because that would be, and especially if you guys had put the time in it that you have, and you're gonna send this out to all of those
Right.
people.
So,
I would say anybody that doesn't respond with what I just said, you shouldn't accept anything from them anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, we,
So,
yeah, we phrased it as spruce or better.
okay. My. I would. I would think that that is an important part of it, because that is the
Right.
biggest load of the material.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, spruce is on there because we
Yeah.
talked to some of these people, and
yeah,
spruce is the one most of them recommended. So,
It's your average 2x4 is made out of.
Yeah.
They're not particularly good for.
Yeah.
water.
but just,
So we need to pick a wood, and we need a committee to pick a wood. Would you like to join us?
I think I'll be busy that day.
yeah.
What day is it?
So I think the person, I think, it makes sense to me. Who can we think of sitting right here?
Well, you said you reached out to all these timber framers
We reached out
or
to some.
several of them?
We talked to, what's his name? Who's the guy that's the historic guy in Grafton that's associated with Meeting House? Who? Not Aaron.
Andrew?
Aaron suggested the spruce. And,
Here,
and, Stan Grattan. the
Grattan.
spruce.
Yeah.
But, somebody else had said hemlock, which I can't recall. And Tim Baker suggested the laminated mahogany.
Walter Buckle, and
I didn't talk to him.
he probably has some input.
Right. It's not easy. It's not, I think it's one of these things like, chicken soup, you can follow the recipe and, the chef will make a fantastic chicken soup and I would make a horrible chicken soup, same recipe.
At the end of the day, it's chicken soup,
But,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it tastes good or it won't taste good.
right?
I think there's a lot of skill that goes into this, picking the right wood. Is it a
Oh, yeah.
dense wood? Is it
Right.
a low moisture wood?
So if it were. My suggestion would be a hardwood. Find a hardwood, it's more money.
Yeah.
But you spend it up front and you save it later. So I would suggest finding a hardwood. I will tell you, I would not suggest going with pressure treated. Because pressure treated, in my opinion, these days is really just a sales tactic, because they're not really pressure treated. You used to wait a year and a half before you painted it, now they recommend 3 weeks. You tell me. That's Benjamin Moore, representative, says 3 weeks, you're good to go. So, if it were me, I would think about a hardwood or something with as tight a grain as possible. So it seems as though if we've got a couple of these local guys, a couple of them already said spruce. Maybe it's easy enough to reach, or relatively easy enough to reach back out to them and say, if the general consensus didn't like spruce, would you have a hardwood or a denser grain wood that you might recommend? Because I'm a painting contractor, so I'm not gonna try to tell you what kind of wood to put on that tower.
Yeah.
You know, that would be my suggestion, John. Seems like it makes the most sense.
Okay, we'll reach out to some of these folks and see what we get.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
Great work on this, John, overall, though.
Maybe
Yeah, thank
proceed
you,
on
guys.
the majority vote of those we contact.
Say it
If
again.
we get a consensus of wood type of the people I contact,
Yes,
can we go ahead? with the
I'd be
bid?
comfortable with that, yeah.
I would be comfortable with that.
Okay.
Cool. And again, like Steven said, thank you, and Sadie, a tremendous amount of work. Thank you, guys.
Corinne,
Yeah, so the Canaan Economic Development Committee is proposing an event called the Canaan Cruise, which will be a multi-route bike ride, gravel grinder event. We have been looking at dates. We had originally looked at June 8th, but we noticed that there will be a competing event, basically the same thing, same weekend in Tunbridge, Vermont.
Hmm.
So we're looking at different dates. So I'm here tonight to just sort of get the ball rolling on having a conversation, make sure that everyone is aware of what we're kind of trying to accomplish. And, you know, we can put all the puzzle pieces together as we go. So, a few questions that we have. One, obviously, I'm going to need to be in contact with John regarding whether or not the meeting house is going to be available during the time frame that we are thinking about using it. The idea is that the event would be held at the meeting house and the beach. That would be the start and end location. There will be food, games. It's going to be family friendly. There will be free childcare available. Routes will be roughly a 5 mile route for everyone, including under kids, 15 mile route, and a just under 30 mile route. I think it ended up being close to like between 25 and 27 miles maybe. So a few of the questions that we have are, one, we are considering teaming up with Friends of Canaan Village and using the province to go toward Friends of Canaan Village and sort of bringing those funds back into the Economic Development Committee for future projects so that we don't have to go to the taxpayers to ask for funds in the budget for at least as many things in the future. So we just are sort of hoping that you'll be supportive of that choice. We're looking at who is going to be liable for any potential problems. We don't know if that's the town, if that's the nonprofits, not really quite sure how that works. So that's a question for you guys. We wanted to ask if you would be willing to waive fees associated with renting the meeting house and having an ambulance there, because this is for the town. It's, hoping to bring more economic possibilities to the town. And those are conversations that I'm also going to be continuing with Ryan and everybody over at EMS as well. So one idea that we had is to have a beer garden at the meeting house. And I'm not sure if that's a possibility, if it's an outdoor situation. Again, not sure about liability. But if I could get permission for that, that would be great. But basically, we're here to just sort of answer any questions that you have, let you know kind of what's going on. Answer any questions about how this is going to benefit the town, why we think it's an important part of the Economic Development Committee, and sort of just get the ball rolling, so.
Can you get it sanctioned or from any kind of organizations as far as just to get more publicity for it, or?
So we're doing like packages of sponsorship. So the base level will be get your name printed onto the t-shirts that we're printing out. And then next up, you can get signs with company name, and we'll have companies sponsoring water stations with tents and signs and that sort of thing. So we don't anticipate needing to ask the town for money for this event.
Well, I mean, it's like, because it's a race. I mean, it could be a race. I mean, it's sanctioned by some organization just to get more
Publicity, more people.
publicity.
So, yeah, we're actually considering it not being a race.
Okay.
That is something that we're certainly open to input. We've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not it makes sense to time it. Do we just say, the Canyon Cruise, where you just come and enjoy the scenery, and part of your registration, you get a t-shirt and a meal ticket. And so we're inviting restaurants to come and cater the event so that people who are hopefully coming from out of town have an opportunity to see what we have to offer.
Yep.
So as far as trying to connect it with anyone else, our concern with that is really that we want to make this really for Canaan and not have to share any profits or have it kind of taken over. This is really, something that we are hoping will turn into an annual event and grow and, you know, help to cut down on, the financial line that what we're asking for from the economic development.
And self-funding. So have we thought about getting with Ryan and see if we can get some coverage for the roads? Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Brian and I have had a few kind of starter conversations with that. He is a little concerned about it being spread out. So we're putting together ideas about how to count riders, putting people out with radios so that they can be keeping in with us. So certainly the safety aspect and keeping track of all of the riders is one of the biggest concerns. We're, you know, sort of throwing around numbers of how many riders we feel comfortable having. That's going to largely be up to EMS and how many people they think that they can support. But you know, riders will definitely be wearing numbers. Everyone at water stations will have a checklist to make sure that they're checking off riders so that if, you know, somebody got checked off at this station and then they haven't come through the next station, we know that we need to go, you know, send someone out to check on them.
Nice.
So, this is the first time that, you know, I've been involved in planning something like this, so I'm working through it, but I think we're on a good path moving forward, but we definitely have a lot of questions and hope that the select board will, kind of be involved with us. Making sure that it's the best things that can be for the town.
I think a couple ideas, maybe contact Highland Bike Park. There may be somebody there who is willing and able to give you some info on different structures for these type of events.
Okay.
And I think I'm trying to rack my brain, I think it is Stowe, Vermont. Stowe, Vermont is one of the biggest bicycling towns in the country.
Yeah, I know East Burke is.
Maybe that's where, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've had a few conversations with people who have hosted kind of similar events.
Okay.
We're thinking that if we're going to bump our event, so we're not competing with the one in Tundridge, we'll go to that one and check it out, see what kind of notes we can take.
Yeah.
And try to maybe collaborate with them for future events as well.
Perfect.
We also have the high school willing to do some help with this as well. The high school students.
Keep your hands up.
Brandon, what day of the week are you talking to them?
We're thinking Saturday.
On Saturday?
Yeah.
Just from the EMS perspective.
Okay, is that, good or bad?
We have difficulties with coverage on Saturday,
Okay,
but we may be able to, depending on who you
Right.
find about.
okay,
Just so we have an idea.
okay.
And what date was it again?
Well, we had originally thought June 8th, but then there's the other events, so I think we're going to bump it, but there are obviously concerns with if we're trying to do it at the meeting house and the construction, we want to make sure. And a lot of our volunteers are coming from the high school, so we're trying to catch them before they're out for summer and we can't catch them again. So there's a lot of conversations that need to happen to get it all to work together, but I'm hoping in the next, well, probably next week when my kids are back in school, I can bring a conversation about the dates.
So Corinne, my suggestion would bring it this way as opposed to getting closer to Old Home Days, because having two big weekends back to back or close to back would be an issue too.
Yeah, and our only other concern is how long is mud season going to be lasting, so we don't want people getting stuck on certain
That
parts.
makes it, we can make it a mud bowl, make it even more fun.
So, yeah, so it's a lot to think about, but I do think that we are in a good place moving forward at this point. I think that, you know, we are likely to be very successful. We already have a few companies that are, you know, interested in sponsoring.
Do you want a decision tonight on the meeting house waiving fees and ambulance and beer garden, or?
You know, if you're ready to give me that decision, great. If we need some time to think about it, then we're not in a huge rush on this.
Just, I mean, something in writing would be good, but I personally don't see an issue with any of it, but
I don't know.
what sort of.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm
they'll-
trying to generate revenue for the committee to better the town. That makes sense to me.
If there's a beer garden, do you have a liquor license? Like who serves the beer? How will that happen?
So that's stuff that if you were okay with the idea of moving forward with it, then I was going to follow.
I just want to make sure you're not like dragging a cooler full of beer out there and serving it, so, okay. Sounds fun, but. Yeah.
Corinne,
Weekend.
Yeah, I'm happy to lock down that information, put it in writing
Okay.
and submit it.
if you would like some more info on how, like, beer garden and the legalities of it, I can connect you with, Michael from Ridge Runners. Michael Franzos from Ridge Runners would know contacts and the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, if you can send me that information, then I can get something in writing and submit it to you guys. for-
Okay,
for next
Cool,
meeting.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one thing that I just happened to think about was you mentioned childcare that we provided. That's a huge risk in liability. If you're not if you're not going through the process of making sure that you're checking people off.
Right.
If the town's gonna be, depending on who's liable, that's a huge liability if you're not having certified or trained or background checks on people that you want.
So check with the PTA, because they do that all the time.
That's the idea, is to get people who are already certified, whether it's through the rec department, the PTA, the school district who has already done background checks and fingerprinted everyone. So, we are not planning on having just random people watching the kids.
So it's just, if you call them to the town.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big concerns, is making sure that as far as liability is concerned, is that the town, is that the nonprofit that we're working with, how does that work? But we certainly want to make sure that anyone who is going to be leaving their children during the time of the race, they're in safe, secure hands.
Thanks, Phil. Bob, I just want to say, very nice presentation. You're very well prepared.
Thank you.
All the questions I had, you had our answers already. I didn't have that.
Excellent. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Okay, thanks, Corinne. Thanks, yes, sorry.
Since we're on the meeting house, there are 2 other reservations on the meeting house calendar, and since you've just waived the fee for this group.
I haven't though. I just said we talk about it. I said I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But, so who are they? What are
Well,
they?
one person, is planning a musical concert and has already put a deposit down. And the other folks are, crafters, the rug hooking group from Canaan.
I think that they typically make a donation, right?
They do.
The hookers, yeah.
The hookers?
The rug hookers, yeah.
And like I said, I'm not real comfortable waiving the deposit. I'm waiving the fee for a nonprofit is one thing, but the deposit I think it still has to be there because, like I said, we ran into trouble last year with a couple of. They were not nonprofits, but so, all right. So what was your question? Just so I'm clear.
It sounded like you were waiving the fee for the bike
Okay, so
activity.
I think I said we consider it if we got a more proposed, more
Okay.
fully proposal, so. I personally didn't see a problem with it, but I'm not up here alone, so.
The fee for Canaan nonprofits is 0. So, and I think,
But if it's an informal group of folks from town.
Well, we would be connected with Friends of Canaan Village, who is a nonprofit, so they would be the people actually getting the registration fees and everything going into it. So. And we've discussed also becoming a nonprofit, ourselves as the Canaan Economic Development Committee, so that we could. Do these events in Australia and have more resources available to us without impacting taxpayers. So.
Just to add to that, we've spoken with and actually visited. Several communities that have done a really good job in terms of particularly downtown redevelopment, Bristol, Lancaster, Littleton. All of whom are, I was rather surprised, frankly. Their populations are about the same as ours. Littleton is only like 4,500. Lancaster is actually 3,200. Bristol, I think, is around 3,800. In each of those cases, well, I take that back. In Lancaster and Littleton's case, they created a Main Street group, downtown economic development kind of committee. And in each case, they decided to create their own 501c something, I forget which, whether it was a C3 or C7. Because they felt like it just enabled them to move more quickly on a whole range of things. So we're talking about that. We obviously will make a proposal and bring you all into that conversation. But that is something that's under consideration, but it wouldn't be anything that we could get done before the King Cruise.
Good. For transparency, Bristol's summer population probably swells to 15,000 or more, so.
Well, and honestly, part of the reason for that is some of the things that they have done over the last few years to redevelop their downtown. And frankly, one of the things that they've done fairly successfully, Littleton is also doing, is sort of pulling the river into,
Mhm.
having more of a connection to their river. So, Franklin's done the same thing. Hopefully, I mean, frankly, our notion is, I don't know, we'll get to 15,000, but our notion is longer term that, we would like to people. Part of the reason we thought of the Canaan Cruise was the idea of sort of showing off all of the beauty that Canaan has and both, our trails, the potential for hiking, for snowmobiling, for cross-country skiing,
Right.
for bike racing.
No, I like it. Thank you. Anybody have any other business? Great.
What do the town reports tonight?
They're at the printer right now, Phil. I'm not sure when we're getting them back, but they're at the printer. So do you know? No,
But they are.
Yeah. they should be shortly because they got out last week.
You guys
The
are
week
backed
before.
up, if you think someone to pick them up, I'll pick them up.
Printer brings them. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll get them out to the normal places for distribution too, so. We will probably send out an email blast as well, just when they do come in, so people are aware, so. Anything else? You guys have anything for non-public?
I do not.
Nope.
Nope. Thank you, guys.
Great, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome, thank you.
Yeah.